Ooh, it's starting to get dark. All right, this should be going by now. All right, I got my dinner just cooked here, so I'm letting that cool off while I talk to you guys. Now, the other day I went to town. I was like I think it was on Monday. Anyway, I went to town. You know, it takes me a couple hours to drive there, and I was picking up a bunch of stuff and some food. So I parked my boat, walk in with my big backpack, which I fill a couple times and take it back to the boat. So I go to one of the stores, fill up my big backpack with a bunch of stuff, and I'm walking back toward my boat. It's like half a mile or something. And up ahead of me on the street, I see this delivery truck, and beside the delivery truck is a guy with one of those hand trucks. You know, it's like you got the handles up here, and then down there's two wheels, and you stack a bunch of boxes on it, and you wheel it around to deliver stuff. And he's got a bunch of boxes stacked on it, and he's trying to pull it up this ramp, and he's like, he tries to get up the ramp, but he doesn't have enough traction or whatever. It's kind of a steep little ramp, but it's the only thing to get up other than stairs. So he goes back down. And he's like, all right, I'm going to try it again. So he yanks it up. Can't get it. So he puts the thing up, and he's looking at these boxes, presumably figuring out which things he has to take off to be able to get up this ramp. And just then, I'm walking by, and I say, hey, yo ayudar. You know, I help this is my terrible Spanish. You know, I'll help. And he looks at me, he's like, sí, okay. So he goes to pull it. I stick my hand under and just kind of lift and push him, help push him up the thing. I didn't even have to push that hard. He almost had it, you know. But got him up there. He's like, mucho gracias. I'm like, todo bien. You know, everything's good, no problem. So he goes, delivers the stuff. I carry on down the street. And I started thinking about this video I saw recently. And, you know, whenever I upload videos, all this stuff comes up on the YouTube page, and sometimes I click on some of it. And one of the things said something like faith in humanity restored. And I was like, I could use some of that. Let me see what the video is. So I click on it, and it's this video of this guy on some crutches. And he's in like this city center, like kind of like a town square, more like a city center. And, you know, it's kind of like a park where a lot of people are walking, going their different places. A lot of people in suits with briefcases, some people with backpacks, some people with nothing, some people with baby carriage. There's a lot of people coming and going here, right? And he's on his crutches, and he comes up to these stairs. And this is a pretty nice manicured place, and it's this big, huge thing of stairs, and, you know, there's a railing over there, and a railing in the middle, and a railing over there, like big thing, goes down a couple stories. You know, it's one of those stairs, like goes down a little bit, then there's a little platform, goes down a little more, and a little platform. Skaters like these kind of stairs, you know, nice stuff. Anyway, so he's at the top of the stairs with his crutches, and he's just like looking at these stairs and trying to figure out how to negotiate it, how to get down, and he looks like he's struggling, right? And people are walking past him, and they're like staring at him as they walk past, and, you know, this guy. So a lot of people are walking past him, just kind of staring at this guy, right? Finally, some lady stops and comes over and says, hey, you know, give me your hand. I'll help you get down. You know, you hold the railing, I'll hold your hand, I'll help you get down. So they walk down a little bit of the way down the flight of stairs, and the guy suddenly stops, puts down his crutches. He's like, hey, look at the camera over there. And she's like, oh, no, really? And the guy's like, here, I've got a prize for you for being so nice and helping me. And she's like, oh, no. And the guy's like, hey, you were nice. Here's your prize. And so, you know, it's supposed to be like faith in humanity restored because someone helped the guy. But I was watching it, and I was thinking, man, like 100 people walked past this guy and did not help. How is this restoring faith in humanity, right? And I started thinking, why wouldn't you stop to help someone who's just there? Like, it's such an easy interaction. You don't have to know what their religious affiliation is, or what political party they're in, or if they're racist or sexist or any of this stuff. It's just a human being who could clearly use some help, right? Why wouldn't you help them? Well, then I started thinking, Okay, why would you help them? Because like, why wouldn't you help them? You know, you got to spend a little bit of time. So there's got to be some reason that you would help them. And I started thinking about this time. This is like 15 years ago ish. Don't ask me the exact date of this. It's about 15 years ago. I was living in England and I'd just gone on this business trip to China dealing with robot spider tanks and stuff. And I'd been there for a week. And then I got on the airplane, which is like a 17, 18-hour flight back to London. And I got on a train to go back up to Northern England to where I was staying. And I got off the train. I've been driving, traveling all day. I'm kind of exhausted and spaced out. So I get off the train and there's just this big platform there, right? And the platform doesn't really go anywhere. You're kind of trapped there, except for this set of stairs that goes up and then over the train tracks and then down the other side. And then you can escape the train station out into the world. So I'm walking toward the stairs with like 150 other people, you know, everyone else who got off the train. And I see up ahead of me, there's a lady at the bottom of the stairs. And she's not moving. She's not going up the stairs. And people are like bumping into her and going around her and being like, oh. And I get closer to her and I see that she has a baby carriage. So I stop and I'm like, hey, let me just put my bags up at the top. And I'll come right back and help you. So don't worry about a thing. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. So I run up the stairs, put my bags in a corner where hopefully no one will steal them. And I go back down the stairs. I'm keeping an eye on my bags so no one steals them. No one stole them. And I passed a poster of Troll Hunter. And I was like, that looks interesting. I should watch that. I did actually watch that eventually. It's kind of a cool movie. I think it was called Troll Hunter. Anyway, that's all beside the point. Why do I remember that detail? Anyway, I go back down the stairs and the lady's like, well, maybe if you get one end and I get the other end. And I was like, let me just see how heavy this is. So I pick up the whole baby carriage for a second, put it back down. I'm like, this is really not very heavy for me. I can just carry the whole thing up if you want, if that's okay with you. I know your son is sleeping. If you trust me, I can just carry it up. But if you want to take him out, that I won't be insulted or anything. But, you know, we can totally let him sleep. And she's like, okay, I trust you. So I pick the whole thing up, walk up the stairs. I put it down. I grab my bags and say, I'll meet you right over there. So she wheels her cart over there. We go to the downstairs. I put my bags down again. I pick up the cart, go down the stairs, put it down. She says, oh, I don't know how to thank you enough. I'm like, nah, don't worry about it. You're good. Go, take your baby home. Everything's good. So I go back up the stairs, grab my bags. I look down. I see the lady leaving the train station. Everything's good, right? And then I carry on with my business. Now, this was like 15 years ago. And every now and then I'll have a bad day. And when I have a bad day, sometimes I'll just get into one of those downward spirals. You know, that thing where it's like you have a bad day and it's like, oh, this went wrong and then that went wrong. I must have been doing the wrong thing. Somehow I've ended up here because I've screwed up in the past. And then you start thinking about all the things you've screwed up in the past and all the people that have been mean to you, and just like this is the downward spiral of just like negative thoughts. And then somewhere along the way, this lady will pop into my head that I when I helped her up the stairs and down the other side, and it just stops the downward spiral. And my brain is like, hey, wait a minute. I'm not a complete piece of trash. I once helped a lady with her baby. And she was very happy about that. That was a good thing. And then it stops the downward spiral. And then I start thinking about positive things. Like that time I found someone's wallet and I opened it and I found their driver's license and it had their name and address. So I knew how to return it and I returned it to them. And they were so happy. They were so happy that I existed and I was there and I wasn't screwing everything up then. So I have done something. It like breaks up a downward spiral, right? So every time I do one of these good deeds, I get to carry the memory of that good deed with me wherever I go. And it turns out to be a really valuable thing, particularly if you have a kind of personality that is somewhat prone to downward spirals. And I just had to invest 3 minutes of my time carrying this lady's thing up. I was going that way anyway. Sure, I had to make an extra trip to carry my bag, but whatever. It was such a small investment for me. Cost me basically nothing. And now, like, for years, I get to have that memory of something positive to break up a huge slew of negative memories I have. Not that all my life is negative memories, but when you get into those downward spirals, sometimes you just get stuck in those negative memories. It's really good to have some positive memories like that to just break it up and like. Now that is kind of the selfish reason to just help someone for no reason. No other reason than just to help them. But there's also an unselfish reason. The unselfish reason has to do with just adding value to the world. So when I stopped to help that guy push the cart up the path, up the ramp, I spent maybe 5 seconds of my time. I probably saved him 5 minutes because he would have had to make a second trip, right? And I made it so he only had to do one trip. So I spent 5 seconds, saved him 5 minutes. Now, if you look at it from a very narrow-minded view of a greedy person, you could say, yeah, but I lost the 5 seconds and someone else got the 5 minutes. But if you back it up and just look at the world and say, what was the net value? What was the net gain or loss there? Well, in the world, someone lost 5 seconds of their life and another person gained like 300 seconds. That is a huge net gain. That's a huge net increase in value in the world. And since I live in the world, a better world is a better thing. You're not separated from all this stuff. So anytime you can like do something that costs you very little and benefits someone else a huge amount, and this could be like maybe you've got $5 that's not going to matter to you. You're just going to spend it on. But here's someone who could really use $5, and they have something they do with it that's going to be way more valuable than what you're going to do with it. Give them the $5, man. Or if you have, that's not. If you're very healthy and you're a very strong person, you see someone who needs help lifting something and they can't do it, and they're just like, what am I going to do? It's a huge problem for them. But don't disconnect on me when I'm going off. Anyway, if you can spend a little bit of your time and save a lot of someone else's time, or give a little bit of your energy and save a lot of someone else's energy, totally worth it. That's like what an adventure builder does. And one of the huge things about being an adventure builder is that you're supposed to become strong and healthy and competent and smart and just have a lot of value within yourself. And one of the really cool side effects of this is that you can go around just dispensing value in the world because you have capabilities, you have competence, you have stuff that costs you basically nothing that you can offer to other people that is hugely valuable to them. And when you have that situation where you have an abundance of something that other people lack, you don't even have to get paid for it. You can just dump it around and give it to people and just get the good feeling and increase the value in the world. And it's a great thing when you can do that. Man, good deeds are a good thing. Good thing, really good thing. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about here. Oh, I'm blocking my camera. I'll use my other finger. You know what? I got to turn up my brightness a little bit. Mr. Landfill, man, you're always here. How's it going? Automatic. Tony Simmons, what's up? Looking buff, JMO. Well, thanks, man. Yeah, I've been working out. I mean, I'm always working out, but yeah. Hello from Germany. Hello from Portugal. Julio Ferreira and Florian Kosch. I used to know a Florian from Germany years ago. Ken, what's up? Okay. Okay, I think he's defining a word here for me. What is this word here? Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism. Good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. The original monotheistic faith, which I think is awesome. Too bad it's like the Freemasons, where you have to have someone born in it to become. Oh, I see. No, you don't have to be born in it to become an adventure builder. All you got to do is do the stuff. I love good deeds, so nice for the soul. Ken says that's true, man. You do good deeds for people, and the cool thing about, like, when you just come across someone who needs some really obvious help, it's so nice because it's so simple. Like, someone needs help pushing a cart up a thing. It's like it's very obvious what you have to do to help them, because a lot of times it's not obvious how to help people. And often people like dump money on other people and say, look, I'm helping. But, a lot of times it ends up just enabling worse behaviors, or causing them a bigger problem later. But, like, it's really nice when someone has a problem that's obvious, that you can solve, and it's so simple, and there's not going to be any major repercussions, like helping some lady get her cart over the tracks. Like, she's just trying to go home, man, and you help her, she gets home an hour earlier. Great. That's the best. I wish more people operated this way. They should, man. If everyone operated on these principles, everyone would prosper manyfold their own effort. So that would be, yeah. This is one of the real tragedies of the society we have today, where people are so controlled. Like, the way people think is so manicured by propaganda, TV, internet, just all this stuff we're constantly seeing. Just the way people think and the way people value things is so manicured by all that stuff in the wrong direction. And it would be such a simple thing to change that direction and just start influencing people in a positive direction, But it's not as profitable as teaching people to have bad manners and, be cruel and all this stuff, which is, it's kind of sad. Let's see. Working in a dental office, I always say we remember the bad more than the good, and people don't go to the dentist because of the one bad experience they had. Hard to forget the bad more than good. Well, I think it is actually I think it's totally reasonable to remember the bad experiences more than the good experiences, because bad experiences can be life-threatening. Good experiences are good, but, like, you really have to pay attention to the bad experience. Like I think that's just kind of built into our evolution. Like people who really paid attention to the bad experiences had a greater survival rate, because, if you kind of forget about the time you found a really tasty apple on the ground, it's not that big a deal. But if you kind of forget to pay attention to the nest of scorpions that's in front of your house and you step into it, well, that's a serious problem, Like, you kind of have to pay attention to the bad things. And also, like, bad things are things that need to be fixed. So it's kind of natural to want to pay more attention to the bad things so you can fix them. And this is kind of another problem that we have in our society today, where people aren't fixing things. So instead of taking advantage of that natural instinct to pay attention to bad things and using it to address bad things and fix them, instead we're kind of like just complaining a lot. Like we're encouraged to get upset about bad things instead of trying to fix them. But the whole reason to pay attention, and the whole reason we have this overabundance of attention toward bad things is so we can fix them. Like, that's the whole point. We got to fix things, not just complain about them. Automatic says, "Pay it forward." That was a movie, right? I want to see that movie. Unless anyone's going to tell me it's terrible. The faith is very interesting, shares many themes from all the main ones. Okay, this is the Zoroastrianism, something like that. Shares many themes from all the main ones. However, it was the original one. No real deity or rules besides the good deed, thoughts, and words. When you die, last good deed. Wendy says wages are taxed, so we are told that value is what you get paid, and doing things that you don't get paid for has far less value. Yeah, that's not even just because we get taxed. That's because, like, I went to public school and everything was like, this job will get you more money. If you stay in school, you do a good job, you get more salary. If you do bad, you get worse salary. You know, everything just boiled down to money constantly, over and over and over. We just got beaten in the head with, this job takes more work to get, but you get more money doing it. This job, you don't make much money, but it's easy. So you should work hard in school to get more money. And there was so much focus on money, and most people just got sucked into that idea of scoring everything based on the amount of money. You know, I'm doing a good job if I'm making more money. I'm doing a worse job if I'm making less money. But it's a really crazy way to think, especially when you kind of get out of that money way of thinking and start realizing that money is like, it's like the lowest form of wealth. Health, I think personally, health is the most valuable form of wealth. Maybe there's something more valuable, but as far as I can tell, this is off the top of my head, being healthy is much more valuable than having a lot of money. Like, I'd rather be healthy and have like no money than be a billionaire and just be sick, you know? Oh, let's see. Because, yeah, I don't know. To have vultures eat your dead body, so you gave your body to a hungry creature. Oh, I see. This is Ken still talking about the religion where doing good deeds is important and dying is your final good deed, because then you get to be food for other things. Cool, man. Automatic says, yes, Pay It Forward is a decent movie with a good message. Similar to message to what you are explaining now. Excellent. Maybe I should write that down so I can remember to try to find it. Pay It Forward. That's a good message. I'll definitely show my kids. Let's see what's going on. Wendy says the Matrix equals collecting taxes. Yeah, don't get me started on taxes. I think taxes should be voluntary, or in the least, you should be able to say where your taxes go. You know, like you should have a lot of say in where your taxes go. Don't get me started on that whole thing. Healthy and having a good relationship with the ones you love is the best thing. Yeah, if I was gonna rate the most valuable things in life, like health, because if you're not healthy, it's pretty hard to enjoy life, and you're gonna, yeah, you gotta have health. And then second, I would say relationships, like good relationships with people, like with kids, with significant others, with friends, just like good relationships, good close relationships, super valuable. Money is really just a tool and should not be worshipped. That's totally true. Money is a great tool. It makes a lot of things more convenient, but once it became the ends instead of the means, things got really screwed up. Like, it just turned into a mess. Like once people started seeing money as the value, instead of just a tool to exchange value, then that's kind of where this horrible greed was born, where people will just do anything to get more money and stab people in the back and do all these horrible greedy things to get more money because they're valuing something that doesn't actually have value. Like, it doesn't have value on its own. Like, the money itself has no value. It's only as valuable as whatever you do with it, and as it's only as valuable as much as everyone agrees it is. If everyone decided tomorrow that some country's dollars were worthless, if everyone just agreed on that, then it would suddenly be worthless. Your ambition is wealth, in my opinion. What you have done in life is inspiration to me. Cheers from Colorado. Well, thanks, Lars. Your ambition is wealth. Yeah, like motivation, ambition, that's all super wealth, like super valuable stuff. Much more valuable than the money, because you can always get money. But like having a purpose in life and having good relationships and having health, that stuff, you can't buy that stuff, you know? You can buy fake versions of that stuff, but you can't buy real versions of that stuff. I work 2 jobs, and one is government and the other is private practice. Big difference when money comes into play. Same job, but huge contrast. Yeah, that would be interesting to hear about. Automatic says, at Ken, I can imagine the stark contrast. I'm sure it's appalling. Yeah, I bet it is. Do-it-yourself specialist. Oh, I love it. I would prefer to live in a society where I have, for example, a loaf of bread. I would paint a fence or do some sort of chore for the community. Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think money is the problem. I think even if we had a barter system, like where you traded stuff, people could still get stupid and greedy if they valued things just incorrectly. Like, personally, I don't think getting rid of money fixes anything. I mean, maybe it fixes a little bit, but those problems could just pop up in another version. And getting rid of the money gets rid of something that is really valuable and convenient. Because, like, say you want to paint a fence for a loaf of bread. Like, say there's not what if there's just not a fence to paint tomorrow? Do you just go hungry tomorrow? Like, this is why money, this is the value of money. Like, the money isn't valuable in itself. It's valuable because it allows you to exchange things in better ways. So you could paint someone's fence and it could be worth 5 loaves of bread. So they give you the money for 5 loaves of bread, and you can eat today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, right? So, like, yeah, like who was saying that? Money is a tool. It's a very useful tool as long as we don't get stupid about it. Like, don't lose sight of the things that are actually valuable when you're holding money in your hand. Like, the money is not the valuable thing. The valuable thing is the work you do, the things you produce. It's things that make life better. The relationships you have, and all this stuff. That's the value, not the money itself. Let's see. How does that battery backpack thing work out? I haven't seen anything about it in any of your videos. Well, you talk about the battery suitcase I made. Well, I used it for a while for some stuff, and then I had used batteries, like pretty old batteries already when I made it, and eventually one block of them shorted out, and I took the thing apart, I was operating on it, and then I was like, wait a minute, let me just check. And I checked online, and like lithium iron phosphate batteries had come down in price so much, I was like, well, I might as well just buy some new ones. Because they were very used at that point, but I got some use out of them still. Wendy says, if you paid and taxed the stay-at-home spouse for their labor, they might not be telling people they're not as important if they don't work out of the home. Well, I mean, this whole idea, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't think that would fix it. I think the thing is we have to stop thinking of money as the value. Like, the money is not valuable. So, like, the reason what you're saying would work is because people people think that it's only valuable if you're getting paid for it, which is not something that was historically thought. That's a pretty new idea. And not that I'm saying no one ever thought that, but like through a lot of history, people didn't think that money was the answer to every problem like people do today. People today, it's like something is broken, call someone, pay them. Something isn't working, we've got to buy something. We like, oh, great. It came back just when I stuffed my food. Anyway, as I was saying, for a lot of people, anytime something goes wrong, they just think you got to spend money, like buy something, pay someone, just spend money to fix it. That's the solution to all problems. But that's not how everyone always thought. Even in this place where I live here, there are a lot of native people who don't really use money. They grow food, like they are hungry. They want food. They don't think, okay, let's find the money and whatever. No, they're just like, I grow food, I catch fish. Like that's the value. And throughout a lot of history, that's how people thought. It's like money wasn't the first answer to everything, like it is for most people today. Money was an answer when you couldn't do something yourself, or maybe someone else could just do it a lot better or whatever. Money wasn't always the number one answer to every problem. And now that most people think it is, it just screws everything up. Let's see, where was I? I remember watching back in days at the Dome, watching you build a ram pump. Oh, the ram pump, I love that thing. That thing was amazing. It pumped that water so high. Like the Dome, I don't remember how high up the Dome was from where the water was, but it was pretty high. Ken says, I recently looked at my taxes for property goes over, I recently looked at my taxes for property goes over half goes to schools. Oh, okay, where money's going. Half goes to schools, and the schools in my area are terrible. I wish I could choose where it goes. Great idea to choose where to put it. Yeah, just imagine like in the United States, for example, if you gave people the choice of where their tax dollars go, do you think they would put like 90% into the military and like 0.5% into like space exploration? No way! There would be so much more going into space exploration. They'd be like, people would be asking, all right, what's the minimum amount we need to put in the military to keep the country safe? Come on, reasonably. Put a little more than that. Just give it a bit extra. But now let's put the rest into like making things better, not destroying things, Oh, I think that would fix a lot of things. Anyway, the Romans used to pay their soldiers in gold coins and salt. Yeah, isn't that funny that salt used to be so valuable? And the funny thing is, like, it's so easy to get. You just get the ocean, like get some ocean water, dry it out. There's a lot of salt in there. I actually found it surprising how much salt you get from like a gallon of seawater. It's a lot. I gotta wonder, like, when salt used to be considered so valuable, like there were a lot of people living by the ocean who still thought salt was like super valuable. What was going on there? Did they not understand that the salt could be taken out of the ocean, or they just didn't want to do it? I don't know. Anyway, the problem with money, specifically US money, is that every dollar is printed by a private company, and lent to the US, created from nothing. It's a fiat currency not tied to any tangible standard. Yeah, don't get me started on this, man, but like once the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve has nothing to do with the federal government, once the Federal Reserve became god of money, oh god, like they just own everything. Like they own everything. I remember when I found out that the Federal Reserve was just some private bank. It was just some dudes who were like, yeah, we're just going to take over everything. I went to my dad and I was like, Dad, do you know that the Federal Reserve is just some private bank? Like it has nothing to do with the government. Like no one's regulating it or anything. I mean, maybe they get kind of regulated, but they're just basically doing whatever the hell they want. And my dad's like, oh yeah. Well, you got to have someone to control everything. Otherwise it all goes blah. And he starts giving me this explanation of why all the currency, the world currency, because the US dollar is the world currency, right? He's like, there's got to be some people in charge of the world currency, or else, and started giving all these ridiculous explanations, and I just backed away. Like I felt like I was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, surrounded by these crazy lunatics. It didn't. I couldn't. I still can't believe that so many people just accept that and think it's a good idea. Oh yeah, we should have all our money controlled by just some private bank, like just some people who pushed on the government and gave them some pressure and shot JFK in the head and whatever. Yeah, it's fine. Anyway, if you consider that you pay your spouse and children with room, board, and allowance, they get to be paid in barter, tax-free, so they are a legal deal for labor. I don't know. This whole thing about paying, I don't pay my children, and they don't work for me. They're not my employees. And if I do something for someone, most of the time, like if it's a friend or a family member, I just do it for them. I don't ask for anything. I just hope that it all ends up working out well in the end. Like I think the idea that you always have to get paid for something and everything has to be this like financial transaction is kind of a silly idea. It doesn't make sense to me. Like there are definitely situations where you're buying and selling things. That's obvious, and where you're working for money. But like a lot of things, you don't have to pay or be paid. Your reward is just living life. Like you're living life. Like you can't have a situation where you only do things for money, because you end up missing life. Ken, you just erased your message. I was about to read it. Great point about salt and ocean water and how the cost of salt was so expensive. Let sun evaporate ocean water. Voila. Yeah, I know. Isn't it crazy? Like salt was this huge, like expensive thing, like once upon a time. But it's really not that hard to evaporate some seawater. Like, yeah, you can just do it in the sun. You don't even need a fire or anything. With so many people living on desalinized water, they should make salt from the remains from the process. Yeah, if you desalinate some water, you should get some salt out of it, right? What do they do with the salt? They just spit it back into the ocean, don't they? Instead of saving it and putting it on their French fries or whatever they get. Yeah, I've never had a desalinator, but I know lots of people who live on sailboats and stuff, and they have their water maker, they call it, that takes the seawater and squeezes it through a membrane and gets the salt out. And yeah, as far as I know, the salt just gets washed back into the ocean instead of being used. The ability to pick where it goes makes sense for a democracy. Your taxes. I deleted it because I wasn't timed right. It wasn't timed right. Yeah. I'm at the end of comments, which is probably a good thing because it's starting to get dark. And I got my dinner here, which looks like, it's definitely cooled off enough. Yeah. So if anyone has any last minute questions or comments, barf them out right down here. And other than that, I'm going to get out of here and have some dinner. And I hope everyone has an excellent morning or evening or lunch or whatever you got, depending on where you are in the world. You missed my last comment. Oh no, what did I miss? Okay. Sorry, Automatic. I did totally miss your last comment. And those people who own the Federal Reserve are the true elite that own and secretly control everything. These people look at the rest of the population as useless eaters and want us all dead. Yeah, can't really argue with that. And the more people value money, the more they own you, basically. Like money, I consider money to just be a slave. What's it like? A slave wage, a slave tool. It's like a slave tool. It's a way to just enslave people. That's basically what it is. At least the way it's being treated today, you know. It doesn't have to be. Like money could just be a tool to use for exchanges until, you know, you have some private people who can just print it out of thin air and then just do anything they want. It's ridiculous. Much love, Jamie. Thanks, Automatic. Seems my comment didn't go through. Have a great one, Jamie. Have a great. Hey, Gunshem, what was your comment? I see this one. Type it real quick if you want. Adventure Island open house in the middle of winter? Oh, Wendy? Sure. Yeah, actually, maybe I should have a thing here in the middle of winter because it's not cold here. Man, it got dark suddenly, didn't it? Okay, Wendy, if you have an idea of when I should have an open house in the middle of winter, send me an email down here. Give me some suggestions of times or whatever. I don't know when. Probably not Christmas break because people are like home doing their family things and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, I'm totally open to that. They still make gold and silver coins, but for some reason, regular money isn't backed by anything. Yeah, some reason, and the reasons are dumb. Greetings from Bavaria. What's going on? I just had to snicker a little because every time I hear they own this and that, I realize that ownership is just a made-up construct that depends on agreement between people. Yeah, I mean, it is an agreement between people, but I also think it's an important thing. Like, I think personal property is a really important thing. Otherwise, you know, no one can have a house or a screwdriver or, you know, just like if people don't respect each other's personal property, just everything goes to crap. Everything turns to garbage. So I do think ownership is a really important thing in people's lives. Even with like family members, like I own my kids. That means I get to raise them and teach them the things I think are important. And I think that's important. I think it's an important thing that a parent is in charge of their kids, not the government or not, you know, whatever. Of course, there are terrible parents out there and that sucks, but that's a separate issue. Okay, Wendy says late January, early March so we can escape the bad weather. Late January, early March. All right, I'll have to put that on my calendar, which I don't have. Okay, on my bucket list is to come check out Panama, and if I'm lucky, maybe spend the day to help you out with whatever you are trying to accomplish at that time. Just to hang out and lend a hand would be most awesome. That's cool. Well, yeah, maybe I'll have to do something this winter. Taxes are so crazy, spending thousands of dollars on a house you already bought for eternity. At least give me a choice. Yeah, there's, yeah, property taxes is crazy. Gunaham says, true, but the respect is lost in our digital currency system. And even before that, I think of the German word besitzen, which means to possess. So to literally sit on. Hi, Jamie. Greetings from Sweden. Hello, Mr. Carlson. I hope everything's going well in Sweden. I've heard that your women are beautiful, but I've never actually been to Sweden to confirm this myself. All right, I'm going to get out of here and go eat some dinner, and I hope you guys have an awesome time doing whatever you're doing. All right, where's the button? It's over here. Okay.